games, and it comes in round 1 of the 2024 NCAA tournament. Again, glad you could join us. Britt Bowen here alongside Nick Flory. And off we go for the next 90 minutes to decide who advances to the second round. And Tigers win the field position battle early. Sending the ball deep into their attacking third is Sammy Brown to work the throw. A little give and go from Mooney. Ball deflected out by Rapp, the outside back. No, it will be an Auburn throw. And this is what Auburn wants. They want to keep the ball inside that attacking third because they have a lot of different pieces, Nick, and when they're patient with the ball, anybody, and I mean anybody on that pitch can find the back of the net. Turnover there, big turnover for FIU.
Yeah, that was something that was so impressive about Auburn this year is the depth of scoring that they had through their team. You know, talking 12, 13 players were able to score multiple goals. You've got Olivia Woodson, who was double digits, which is just a phenomenal season. But to your point, other teams can't just specify one player they want to scout. You know, they have to worry about the entire team when it comes to Auburn.
Ball forward. Valerie Restrepo taking advantage of that. She's only a sophomore. She's had a solid year. 37 saves, 13 goals allowed. She was second team all-conference, and she's the type of keeper that you want to have in this game because, number one, she takes command of the players in front of her against an experienced back line for FIU, but also she has the ability to make the big save. Finding space, splitting the defense, Aaron Houston, but back to midfield from FIU. Tigers playing over the top. Carly Thatcher taken down, late tackle. Is Catherine Rapp called for the foul.
You see already Auburn's trying to take advantage of that space that FIU is giving up in their back line, trying to play in those pockets, trying to get in behind them with some of the runs, just trying to pin them back. You do that enough, you're going to end up drawing a foul.
Auburn has been really good at finding combinations and getting players in behind this season. Here you got Anna Haddock. Fires on net, curls it in, sends it over.
Yeah, this is definitely within Anna Haddock's range. Just gets a little bit too much around it. Curls just to the left of the goal, but those kind of situations for Auburn are always going to be goal-scoring opportunities. There's a couple players on the team that could easily put that in the back of the net.
Nick, you and I had a chance to see her in the Georgia match a couple weeks back. It was Auburn's final home game of the regular season. That game ended in a thrilling tie for Georgia in the final seconds. But you could tell Anna Haddock, she kind of put the team on her back that game in a way that we hadn't seen her do in a couple games this year because she didn't have to. But a foul on the play here gives Auburn yet another free kick. What'd you say on the call?
Yeah, sorry. They're going to come and be physical. Just got wrapped around a little bit from the defender there from Jackson and just held up almost like, you know, holding somebody off playing basketball.
4 minutes into the first half. Ball into the box. Chipped on. Knox is there. And no goal. And the goal stands. LJ Knox deflects it in. Got underneath the crossbar. And Auburn, 3 minutes and 58 seconds into the match, strikes first against FIU.
You know, we just talked about how dangerous Auburn is on set pieces, and this is one where you give them those opportunities. They've got really dangerous players that can make runs into the box, and they're tenacious and will battle for it. And just getting a little toe poke or anything like that is going to give them a chance to put the ball in the net. But Anna Haddock, this is one of her best strengths, is just her delivery on set pieces.
Well, and the ball was deflected off 19 Catherine Rapp from LJ Knox. And was it a handball by Rapp?
Yeah, I think they're going to go to Hawkeye, their review system, see whether that actually crossed the line. I think from our view, it looks like it may have.
I definitely think you crossed the line. I thought
this is going to be the best view here. Yeah, that's a goal.
What a view.
Yeah, it's going to be a goal.
Goal should stand. Good goal, and the Tigers lead 1-0, and Haddock loves what she sees.
And this is what both teams wanted to have happen as far as if they could have scored. Obviously, exact opposite for FIU, but getting a goal early in this kind of situation is going to allow things to settle for Auburn, but it also stretches FIU, puts more challenge on them. Now they have to chase the game for the next, almost 90 minutes.
Well, at FIU, at least in the first 4 minutes here, they really haven't been able to build a possession past midfield. Auburn's been able to press high up the field. It's paid off.
Yep.
2 quality set pieces by Anna Haddock. Ball on the far side. Sammy Brown works it out against the outside back wrap. Tigers pressuring again. Haddock playing it down. Ball intercepted in midfield.
This is going to be a battle of who's able to counter press, I think, better. With Auburn, with FIU, they both want to do it. They both want to be able to keep the ball in their attacking half and get pressure on it if they lose it. It's going to really strain FIU if they're not able to keep possession and build and break some of this pressure that Auburn's putting on them.
Well, and it's interesting you say that about counter-pressing, because counter-pressing is a huge part of both of these teams' identity. And when they're at their best, they're counter-pressing. That's part of their game plan. How can FIU maybe counter-press to get back into this game down 1 early?
Because really it's a matter of, can they keep their shape compact so that they're able to get pressure on the ball a little bit earlier, not allow Auburn to stretch them, create side-to-side movement, pull players apart and open those gaps up. But that's, one of the fascinating things coming into this game is because defensively they do want to do the same thing. It really comes down to who's going to be able to do it a little bit better.
Ball out far sideline. FIU trying to work out of their defensive third. Al Mooney intercepts the throw in from Rapp. And it's Hayden Colson playing back at her new position this year, the holding midfield at the 6. Saw her a little bit at center back a few weeks ago. Now Thatcher out wide. And trying to hook up with Olivia Woodson, but Woodson misread the play.
Yeah, FIU shifted there well, stayed together, didn't allow Woodson to get in behind, but that is something that Auburn's going to continue to look to do, especially with Woodson's speed.
Well, and look, this back line, and that's a tough break there for FIU as the back line gives it right back to Auburn. Auburn playing quick up, deflected by Salee. Spinning is Brown. Now back to Malmooney. She's scored 4 goals this year. Chips one in. Haddock the target, diving forward and heading it out for FIU. A huge play. Again, but Auburn not letting up on the attack. Jess Osborne tangled up in midfield with Sarul. Long run for the leading scorer, Pocket. Low shot, near post. And Prohaska goes down to get it.
That's just a situation there that Auburn has to be cautious of with their possession, with their shape and attack. They do leave themselves susceptible to a counterattack, and FIU is very, very good at that. Being able to get the ball forward quickly. Joaquin being so dangerous with the ball, they're going to look to get her the ball at her feet and just let her run. She's going to be able to create some chances to score.
Woodson cuts in. Haddock gets swarmed by 3 Panthers. Sammy Brown, top of the box, left foot, deflected on. That was Rapp who got there. Coming up to defend is Camille Sarul. Haddock, Thatcher, back to Haddock and Brown. Chipped out of danger, I think. Celine got there. And Restrepo comes in to give the Panthers a breather. 37 minutes left to go first half, and 8 minutes in, this Auburn attack has been relentless, but one good counter attempt by Florida International. And the Panthers have one shot on goal and a chance to tie it.
Listen to Coach Carver coming into this game. He has their principles for their program. They want to play possession. They want to keep it. But defensively, there's always going to be a chance. Did they have to adjust coming into this game because of Auburn's strengths? And it looks like they're sitting back a little bit more. But again, when they win it, they want to go fast. They want to get the numbers forward. That's always going to be a chance for them to create some chances to score just in the counter press, or within the counterattack.
Can we just talk about the rebuild job that Coach Carver has done and his staff at FIU? I mean, this is a program that won 2 games just a couple seasons ago, and with the pieces, the foundation that he's built, anyone that's been following FIU soccer this season, Nick, not a surprise.
Not at all, and it's been purely from the start when they got there. Recruiting really well, establishing a culture that has put them to this place, to where they're making the NCAA tournament and winning the conference. It's a remarkable job, because this kind of transition in the college game today you just don't see it that often.
Space for Haddock up top to Salih, coming way out of net. Restrepo, and a whistle from the head official.
Still have a feeling in this game so far, which is still a little chaotic, back and forth, and hasn't quite settled in yet. Yeah. Just the pace, transition moment after transition moment. Eventually it's going to settle down, I think, but those nerves coming into this kind of game, they're still riding a little high.
Nick, for you though, you've coached at this level for quite some time. Did the nerves ever settle in NCAA tournament games?
No, but you love them. Because obviously you've made it this far. You've had a good season. But until the game is 4 or 5-0, there's always a chance the other team can come back.
Well, already we have seen at least one surprising result tonight out of the NCAA tournament results. Obviously, we'll talk the bracket all night, but I mean, Colorado, a team, Nick, that you said there was conversation. They had to make a case to get in. There was some conversation saying they shouldn't be in. Well, guess what? They go to the number 7 seed Georgia and win 3-2 in Athens.
Yeah, big upset. I think they were one of those teams that a lot of people had a hard time that they got in. There were a couple other schools who didn't get in who had an argument for being there. But they've made a statement that they deserve to be there with that first win of the first round.
FIU trying to work through Camille Cyril. She's had a good season. Transferred in out of Franklin Pierce, 6 assists this year. Trying to work up that right side. That's where Pockin's chance came from minutes ago, here through the middle. And looks like Bamel just lost it. Crab tries to save it. Good effort, and FIU trying to sell it, but head referee was in position for the Tigers' advantage.
You're starting to see some glimpses of FIU in their possession and their ability to move the ball around and pull Auburn apart. Being able to counter press there well.
Well, in talking to Coach Garber, I found what he said to be very interesting about their strategy. He said obviously they can't play their traditional style as they've done every single game this year against a talented team like Auburn, mainly due to Auburn's depth. But he said FIU has to adjust but not change style or identity. Nick, as a coach, what does he mean by that?
Well, you can just see from that goal kick, historically.
Salih, forward, 1v1 Woodson, around Restrepo, and a whistle halts play.
Going back to that point, though, Britt, they typically are pressing high. They're having their forwards start on the 18. See this replay here, just looking to attack that back space, and Woodson, you can see just maybe a step offside. Yeah. But good for Auburn that they're looking to take advantage of that space that's there. You put Woodson in a foot race with anybody, and she's got a great chance of winning it.
Woodson had some big goals in SEC play. She's got 10 this year. Had a brace against Tennessee. Also netted a couple against LSU and Ole Miss. But if you followed Auburn soccer, and especially the U.S. national team lately, Olivia Woodson has Alyssa Melanson type speed. And,
she does.
And Alyssa Melanson, how about her getting her bid or her first nod to the national team?
It's awesome. So happy for her.
Ball in the box. Pressuring is Kayo. Tangled with L.J. Knox in the back. Not out of danger yet for Auburn.
You can see FIU's counter press now as they're getting higher up the field and they're getting numbers around the ball. They're able to get pressure a little bit earlier. But going back to some of the adjustments, you see here on this goal kick, historically they've kept forwards right at the top of the 18 and trying to press high. But you see Paquin has dropped off a little bit. They're playing a little bit lower line and trying to keep their lines connected a little more so than they have against some of their conference competition.
Well, and what I always say when people ask me about matchups like this, naturally Auburn's a favorite. Tackle from behind, everything's clean, no whistle. Forward is Sarul. Sarul was spaced, drives one, and deflected off of Jess Osborne. Good positioning there by the center back, but it goes past the end line for an FIU goal kick. Big opportunity right here. If you're the Panthers, Nick, this is what you want, a chance to tie it, create set pieces, put Auburn under pressure. FIU this year, this is their 89th corner kick. They average just under 5 a game. Paquin. Far side. Hayden Colson gets a head on it for Auburn. Falls to the feet of Zoe Jackson. Sends the ball in and diving forward, Maddie Prohaska. She saw it all the way. Great vision by the Auburn keeper.
Yeah, see here now, where are they going to want to press? And they break the line of confrontation, and now FIU is starting to shift. So still wanting to press, it's just a little bit deeper in the field. They still want to get the pressure on the ball and take those transition moments when they come. And this is going to be an opportunity now for FIU.
Shot from distance, off the crossbar, inches from a tie game. That was Catherine Rapp from distance. I don't think she can't do it. Second team all-conference, 3 goals, 2 assists this year. Another look.
The dangerous from midfield. They get pressure on the ball, create the turnover, and then quickly taking advantage of the chance to get that off her foot. Just got under it just a little bit, but we're gonna have to watch this because these are a couple quick chances now from FIU from the counter press and the press, and then creating some chances to get the goal.
Well, and what little bit I've seen of FIU this year, not surprising. That's another thing, or another similarity of these two teams. Both had the ability to score from distance, Nick, if given the window, and you saw Rapp there. She didn't miss by much.
Not at all. I mean, they're going to continue this. I think it's now a matter of how Auburn adjusts. Their speed of play playing out of the back has been a little bit slow the past couple minutes. That's got to pick up and maybe play a little more direct and get FIU to drop off and just stretch those lines apart from each other.
Big leg from Prohaska. Being knocked back and forth. Who's going to win it? Goes to the back line.
Listen to Coach Garber coming into this game. It was impressive how much belief was in his voice when it came to his team.
Yeah.
Completely confident that they can come into this without any question and compete and try to win.
Well, and to their credit, they burned it.
Absolutely. The record they have and what they've built there is truly incredible.
Well, and again, from where the program was, and I mean, when you go into a program like that is, you're starting from scratch, and you have to play the long game. And he had a recruiting philosophy, and he's dipped into the international recruiting pool, and that is a big part of this program's culture at FIU, and it's paying dividends for him. I mean, you look up and down the roster, international kids contributing everywhere, and it's been awesome to see.
Well, and the way they want to play, especially with the interchange with just that kind of movement in the attack, you have to find players that are smart enough to do that, that can play out of the box of just sitting in one position. You have to have players that understand how their role changes depending on what part of the field they're on. He's gone out and find these players. And credit to the players, they took a chance on this program.
Yeah.
You know, these players that are seniors now, when they came in, you know, FIU was winning 2-3 games a season. You know, they took a chance on his vision, Coach Garber's vision of what the program could be, and they're seeing the the rewards from all their hard work and committing to it, and they're here, and they're a good team.
Good chip on top of the box, 1v1, but Jess Osborne able to come over and save the day. That was a dangerous spot from Braylon Pamel, who came over the juniors, scored 3 goals this year, and she's athletic. She can get forward, very good with the ball at her feet.
Very good, and we continue to see the opportunities that FIU is creating from pressing just a little bit deeper into the field, but it's working for them. And quick transition, they're so good in that situation. Auburn hasn't quite figured out how to break their press.
Center back Bridges works the ball to the left into the box, but nobody home for the Panthers.
Auburn can look to do a couple different things. Speed of play has got to be a little bit faster to break a press. You can play a little more direct to break a press. But the slower they are and the more compact FIU can be, the tougher it is going to be to break that down.
Good 1v1 win at midfield by Sammy Brown. And that's one of the parts of the game tactically, Nick, that I think goes unnoticed at times in big elimination games. Sometimes it comes down to who wins the 1v1 battles that sets up a potential go-ahead or game-winning goal.
Yeah, when the parity of the teams is strong and teams are pretty equal, one mistake here, one mistake there, and who takes advantage of it typically determines the game.
Well, but think back to this Auburn team and how Auburn has started the year this year, Nick, was incredible. I mean, they came into this season with a chip on their shoulder. Last 2 years didn't go any way that they wanted it to in terms of finish. And they had a core senior group that believed they could come back and finish what they started. And, man, we got to see it right out of the gate against a very good Clemson team who made it to the College Cup last year.
Yeah, you got to give full credit to the leadership within the team. Knowing the team like I have, the potential and talent has always been here. It's a matter of producing it on the field, and part of that is just maturity and understanding that you have to embrace your roles.
Woodson turning the corner, got past Jackson, now working on Bridges. Bridges gets a leg on it and goes out of bounds for an Auburn throw. This is Tigers' first trip back into their attacking third in a few minutes. Aaron Houston. Nice takeaway from Jackson. Maryland transfer where she spent 3 years. Thatcher sealed off.
Good counter press there from Auburn. Again, the similarities between both teams from a defensive standpoint are they're mirror images of each other.
And Auburn with the early goal. FIU, Nick, in terms of disruption, they've stayed in it. They've had a couple chances, but this one has been even at times here in the first half of play.
Absolutely. It absolutely has. And with this much time left, they are chasing it.
Here's Woodson, and this is where Auburn can be dangerous. Woodson, ball in. Target was, here's Thatcher. Goes out wide. Mal Mooney right back. Fires on, tipped by Restrepo.
It's a great save from Restrepo. Yeah, that looked like it was going in, just under the bar. Good play from Auburn, though, being able to change channels. FIU was able to get so much pressure on the ball, but they leave Mooney free on the opposite side, and she's able to get that strong shot. It was going under the bar if it wasn't for Restrepo.
Well, and here's the thing. Again, Mooney this year, 4 goals on the year. Former Colorado Gatorade Player of the Year. Tigers will take the corner with Anna Haddock.
Corner kick for Auburn to be taken by number 4, Anna Haddock.
I think the times where Auburn has been at their best, the outside backs, Mooney and Houston, have been heavily involved in the attack, and that was the case here in the past minute or so.
Haddock headed on and a goal! Jess Osborne! First goal of the season!
You could see that was designed, and that Osborne was almost, they wanted to isolate her on FIU's defender. Create that just 1v1 situation we talked about earlier, 1v1 situations. Auburn is a team with great height, very good players out of the air. You got Anna Haddock with her service, left-footed, right-footed, doesn't matter. And then Osborne scored a couple goals, with her head on these set pieces, is able to jump up and flick into that space.
And Anna Haddock gets yet another assist. That's Haddock's 44th assist of her career. She leads the program in assists. And for Jess Osborne, that's her second career goal, and the first goal of her sophomore campaign. And boy, did it come at a good time. That gives Auburn some big insurance with 21 minutes left to go in the first half. FIU has a big hill to climb.
It's a great start from Auburn, obviously. FIU is still in it, by all means. At 2-0 with, you're talking 65 some minutes left. There's plenty of time if FIU sticks with their principles for them to continue to get chances.
Tigers pressuring with more. They get Salee from in behind, but she's caught offsides.
I think now we're in a situation for Auburn where the nerves are going to start to calm down. 2-0 lead gives them some confidence. I think the cliche is a 2-0 lead is tough to keep, because those nerves calm down even too much, or can calm down too much. Auburn has to make sure mentally they stay in it. They're staying focused. They're staying urgent with how they play. Playing safe, taking chances when they come.
Yeah, decision-making and timing, Dick. Knowing when to press, when to lay back.
Right.
It's so strategic. And some nights it can be the difference between winning, losing, tying, or sometimes overtime, depending on where you are in the season.
Absolutely. And the times, when you're pressing, if you get stretched out, you turn the ball over. Those are those transition moments that FIU is going to be able to try to capitalize on. That's something Auburn can't allow to happen, but it's something FIU has to take advantage of. In transition, they are very dangerous. So it's a matter of limiting those chances when it comes from Auburn, not giving Paquin a chance to take on and go straight to goal.
And Tigers have kept the ball in their half of the field for most of the first half. FIU's had a few flashes and a few quality chances here. 3 chances, one from Paquin, the other on a corner, and then a big shot from distance from Catherine Rapp.
Yeah, it really comes down, I think, whoever's been able to counter press better and keep the ball in their half, so far in this half, has been the one that's been able to create the chances. And FIU is just as capable as Auburn if they can get it into these areas of attack.
At the top, Paquin, ball at her feet. Goes far side, racing to get there was Sarul. She's a tad late. And just to give you the recap, Tigers scored in the opening minutes of the game. It was ruled an own goal against FIU, and then just moments ago, with 23 minutes left to go in the first half, Jess Osborne scores off a header from a corner from Anna Haddock. Tigers leading 2-0. Still a long way to go, though. 18 minutes to go in the first half. Dylan Driver has 3 Panthers closing. She goes to her right. Crosby sends it back in. ball intercepted by Rapp. And a foul from behind. And now Mooney.
You got a different partnership now for Auburn up front with Driver and Crosby playing together. You already seen how Driver can create for other people. Isn't going to run behind as much. You're going to let Crosby do that. But playing into Driver's feet and letting players run off her, she can play in the central midfield. She's so good with the ball.
Well, and that's what's been so great for Auburn this year with the depth up top between Salee and Driver. Woodson's been the staple on the left side, but on the right side, you have Salee, who's a little more shifty, but Driver, who's more physical, and with her play, she can sometimes open up play for Olivia Woodson with her style. And really, it depends on the opponent sometimes and who's in the starting lineup.
It does. It gives the coaching staff great options going into games after they've scouted what's going to work best or how they feel is what's going to work best.
And what's even more encouraging to see when you see situations like that, how players handle that, not getting too wrapped up in who's starting, more or less bought into the role of the team. And following the Tigers this year, but both have seemed to take ownership of that. Anna Haddock will have the ball just outside the center circle.
To your point, as far as embracing your role, I think that's been one of the best strengths that Auburn has had this season, of that maturity from some of the senior players that have been around for years. Hey, it doesn't matter if I start. It doesn't matter if I play in a different position. It's whatever the team needs me, I got it.
FIU.
And you have that kind of culture, you can produce seasons like this.
Big bomb in the box. Brown. Far side working against Vamil. And foul called on Altair. Foul's outside the box, so this is just as good, Nick, as a corner in terms of positioning on the field.
Yeah, they're going to look to say, continue to target some of their better players in the air. Contreras there, Driver, Knox coming up, Osborne coming up. Play this like a corner.
Brown runs over, Haddock takes it, left foot, chance on. And a touch off. With the Tigers with a 2-0 advantage. 4th minute into the game, an own goal. Nick got the ball in the mixer, created a chance, pressure. FIU couldn't answer, and then in the 24th minute, a beauty from Anna Haddock to Jess Osborne.
Yeah, that first goal, just chaos. When you have that many players in front of goal, there's always going to be a chance that you disrupt, and just that kind of pressure, creates mistakes. And then beautiful service for the second goal, 1v1 situation. Osborne's able to win that.
And how about the center back? What does that do to a center back's confidence, especially a sophomore? You get that kind of goal in this kind of game. I mean, that's got to boost you up, at least for the remainder of this one.
Riding the high, because that's uncharted territory for a center back to be able to go up like that.
Ball swinging in, far post, just through the hands of Restrepo. And shot is wide in a collision in the box.
Again, you create that much pressure and those many players in front of goal. You help create mistakes for the other team. Restrepo coming off, but she's got players in front of her. Doesn't have a clean shake at getting the ball. Overlooks it a little bit and goes through her hands, and could have been another goal for Auburn.
Shaking up on the play is Braylon Baumel. Been a good player this year. Again, had a chance on earlier in this half. And the whistle as Contreras comes up against Ora Jackson. One of the things, Nick, that I thought could be the difference in the match tonight was depth. And you see some of the depth on the field now for Auburn. Number 6, Becky Contreras. Number 15, Sydney Thibodeau. Those two have been staples, along with Dylan Driver, who we mentioned, that some weekends have just put Auburn over the top. I mean, coming off the bench this year alone, Thibodeau with 4 goals, Contreras with 5, Driver with 3. Auburn's building. Out the back is Houston, going out wide, working with the outside back Mooney. Haddock turns the corner. Inside, space and a chance. Chipped on, big save! Was it in? Ball still in play. What a job by the defender from the back row. I think that was Delinda Saline who got in there, the senior out of Sweden, second-team All-Conference USA member. And the referee is going to go over for another look.
Just great build here from Auburn, and Haddock able to spin and turn and get that ball cut back. Driver getting it on her left foot.
That ball may have gotten in. Another look. It's going to be close.
It was not as close. Not as close as the first one, but that's going to be no. Yeah, still on the line a little bit.
How about Delinda Saline?
The call on the field is confirmed. No goal.
Yeah, great defensive effort there. Making sure that didn't cross the line.
Coach Garber was so complimentary of his back line. They've had a tough go at it tonight, just again with the pressure that Auburn's put on them. But Saline, I mean, that is a big-time save there that still gives you a little life here with 13 to go in the first half.
They're still in this game. The players are still putting in the effort they need to make sure they're keeping it within reach. But that setup, credit to Auburn, just the build, being able to attack that space out wide and Haddock being able to cut it back. This kind of pressure, you get multiple chances then, looking for maybe that second chance, that third chance, and you've got the numbers in the box. You're going to be able to continue to put those on goal.
Well, Tigers 7 shots, FIU with 4, each team with 1 corner apiece. Tigers have taken advantage of a couple free kicks and some pressure. Done a good job of winning the 1v1 battles. Now in the box, Osborne again. Restrepo getting there, and she was going to have a quick release. Instead gives her time, or gives her team time to get set up.
Still spaces here. They are not able to build out of the back like they have wanted to or have this past season. Playing a little more direct from the goalkeeper.
Sarul. It's a nice build-up there for FIU. One of the better builds we've seen in probably the last 10 minutes. And
Ashley Martinez enters for number 17, Braylon Vaymill.
Martinez entering for Vaymill. Just north of 10 minutes left to go in the first half. Auburn leading 2-0 against FIU in this opening round game of the NCAA tournament.
Brett, you talked earlier about the depth.
Great speed from Jordan Crosby, flying up the field to try to put a little pressure on Restrepo.
I think to do something really phenomenal in the tournament, you have to have depth. And Auburn has been able to play a lot of players through the course of the season that are confident, that can score goals, and the level doesn't drop. And that's something that's allowed them to compete in every game they've played in so far this season.
Here's an off-the-wall question for you. In basketball, I'm a firm believer that you have to have a good half-court offense because teams are good enough defensively to slow you down. Is there a style of soccer in the NCAA tournament at a high level that you have to be able to play in some form to be able to win the high-level games?
I think there's two. You got to be able to possess, because if you're always chasing,
sure,
you're going to wear yourself out, even if you have depth. And then in transition, you've got to be good. Because those moments are going to come. statistically, I don't have the exact number, but most goals come within 3-4 passes, maybe less.
Paquin with a big chance. Second corner of the night. Auburn gets ahead on it at the top from Colson. Chance on. Big deflection. That chance came from, I think, Ashley Martinez. Caio wanted to go left, instead right. Pass intercepted. Paquin able to clean it up from the back. And Paquin, she's got a high motor. When she gets going, Nick, she is quick and shifty.
Absolutely. Dynamic player, tough to predict what she's going to do. She's so explosive to get out of those tight spaces. It's fun to watch FIU with the different nationalities that they bring to their team and the different styles that each player brings. Caio, very technical. Looking to create those final passes. Paquin, just elusive, looking for the space in behind, looking to get on those final passes, looking to get it to her feet.
Yeah.
It's a fun blend to bring to a team.
Caio from Japan, Paquin from Montreal, Quebec. And that's the thing, looking across their starters tonight. They are 3 international players in the lineup that I've counted, unless I missed one, Nick.
Celine from Sweden, I believe.
Yep.
Caio from Japan, Canada.
But again, that's what's one of the fun parts of our jobs, is learning about the identities of these teams and what makes them who they are and their style. You pull that many kids, in the SEC, you're pulling mostly kids from around the United States in to become a team. I mean, FIU has pulled kids from around the world in to build what they built, and it's, I think, one of the better stories in college soccer, especially in the mid-major programs.
Before Coach Garber took over, I mean, there may be 355 teams in the country. It's right around 350. FIU was in the bottom, 10. Which makes it even more remarkable.
Haddock, high lofting ball, just over the top. Fooled a couple fans in front of us. That is a hard ball to defend, Nick. Why? Why is that type of ball so hard for a good keeper like Restrepo?
Well, the lights can play a factor. You've got all this pressure coming onto her. The numbers of runners in the box, and you're having to worry about where they're coming from, just to make sure you can also keep focus on where the flight of the ball is.
I think you just saw Anna Haddock's parents there with some emotion. Haddock finding Sydney Thibodeau on the outside. Auburn looking for one more before the half.
Now, FIU has done really well shifting to defend these wide spaces.
Wow.
Auburn, in these cases, has to start looking to change channels a little bit more. It happened previously when Mooney got that shot that Restrepo, pushed over the bar. But as the pressure comes on this side, it frees up that weak side space. They got to take advantage of that.
That puts on the brakes. 50-50 ball goes to FIU. No, it goes to Auburn. Auburn continue. Auburn's been liking going to the middle. I mean, we've seen at times this year Auburn will go to the outside, go to the box, and towards the end line for service. But tonight, Auburn's going right up through the seam. What do you think they're seeing there?
It's just a matter of, because I think FIU is able to shift over well enough.
Yeah.
They've taken the central channel a little bit to their advantage. It still, again, leaves over this right channel, or the weak side channel. You see it here with Mooney getting the ball.
Mooney keeps it in. Driver with a chip on, and she's going to see that one tonight in her dreams.
Yeah, she wants that back. I can tell you she already wants that back.
Driver with 2 key chances here. She's knocking on the door for her 4th goal of the year. 5 career goals for Auburn out of Macon, Georgia. And Haddock gets a much-needed breather.
It goes back to Mooney. She's created 2 great chances. You know, getting it from this left side to her right side, she's able to go forward. Youth forward, you know, growing up, she was player of the year as a forward in Colorado. She knows what to do in the attacking third.
Well, how often do you see that, Nick, at this level, players, key goal scorers in, you know, on their club team or high school level, and then they make the shift in college because that's going to fit their playing style better? All out of play, and it's an Auburn goal kick.
Happens a fair amount. You know, whatever you play as a youth player doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to play that as a college player. You think you're bringing the best players from a bunch of club teams and you're putting them on one team.
But how dynamic does it make you?
Exactly.
Like Mal Mooney. I mean, this year you see, again, 4 goals. She had 5 goals as a freshman, tied for a team high 4 years ago.
And she was playing up front then. The modern game, the outside backs, the back line has to be involved in the attack. And if you have someone that can defend but has that confidence going forward and with the ball, it creates those players that are going to be very dangerous when they get in the attacking third going forward.
Oh, what a story again for Mal Mooney. Starts her career at forward, and Coach Karen Hoppin's staff says, hey, there's a vacancy at the fullback position. We need you here. She goes there, and not only that, has to go through an ACL injury as well. Overcomes that and has been a staple on this Auburn back line this year, a back line that's only allowed 15 goals.
Yeah, she's been through a lot the past couple of years with her injury, but has battled back, and now as someone, it's hard to take off the field. She's just involved in everything, with the ball, without the ball.
FIU number 21, Nicole Solis enters for number 3, Camille Sahirul.
Yeah, for both teams, though, you can look at just how they shift defensively. There's so much space on the weak side. If you can take advantage of it, you're going to be able to get forward a little bit easier. And it just pulls the other team apart. You know, creates the gaps in between the players. It opens up seams a little bit more. Just opens up that space then to take advantage of.
Got a whistle back towards midfield. It'll go against Auburn on a foul. Fouls tonight, 10 for FIU, 4 for Auburn. It's been a clean, competitive game on both ends. Reagan Bridges will take the ball for FIU. Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. Ball in, nice job sealing there. That was Jess Osborne in the box who sealed off the player running towards that left post and really closed off the lane to deny the threat.
You know, Jess has that international background from playing with England.
Yeah.
Knows how to just deal with those situations from a soccer IQ standpoint, not allowing the other player to have an advantage in 1v1 situations.
And again, with the international game, why is that experience so important, especially translating what you learn back to the college level as Pocken builds here? Osborne into the mixer, pressure on Prohaska. She doesn't waste any time. She stops the threat, halts play, and allows a couple seconds to tick off.
The international game, I think, is just more tactical. The American game is a little more transition-based. So when you have to outthink the other opponent internationally, you got to make sure you have those players that are smart enough to make the right decisions and not allow the other team to have any advantage.
Well, I have to say, as a youngster, there wasn't a lot of soccer growing up in rural South Alabama, and the one tournament, as Auburn puts one on for a goal kick, the one tournament that turned me on to the game, Nick, was the international game. It was, I think, the 06 World Cup in Germany. Was it 06, 04?
It was 06. I actually went to those.
Did you really?
Incredible experience.
I remember Italy won, and it was just highly competitive. That was really the first time I was old enough to really know what was going on and pay attention. Of course, you play YMCA ball, but it's amazing how the game has grown from the early 2000s to now in the States. I mean, it's one of the most popular sports especially amongst youth athletes these days.
It is, and the ability or opportunity to watch games on TV is exponentially greater than when I was a kid. If you're a youth player out there, please watch. Please watch pros. Yeah. Try to pick up as much as you can from them, just seeing what they do. You know, men, women, NWSL League is, to me, the best women's league in the world. But you can learn so much as a player from a young standpoint, just trying to replicate what the pros do. It's not something I had. I was humble enough to where, you know, I had to wait years to be able to watch games on TV consistently.
Soccer's grown in the States, and SEC soccer has grown. College soccer has grown. And the Tigers, they let the 10 seconds tick on down. They keep the shutout alive to end the first.
Starting the first half, they've got to come out, get the ball in their attacking half, counter press well, create chances in transition. Auburn needs one more goal, try to put this game away, but they're going to have to break the press that FIU puts on them that they sort of struggled with at times during the first half.
In games like these, what tweaks are you making at the half, personnel-wise and strategy-wise?
You know, for Auburn, because of their depth, they got to make sure that they keep people fresh, not allowing anyone to get too fatigued to where FIU can take advantage of it. You know, FIU is a little bit different. They don't play as many players, so they're going to have to take advantage of those transition chances when they get them.
What does that say, though, about the personality of FIU's team? Because I noticed that as well, and when I saw their rotations, at least in the last 4 or 5 matches, and that doesn't seem to affect them. They are who they are, and they have that blue-collar mentality. Is whoever's out there, that's who we're going with.
They do. They're fit enough to do it. They're gritty enough, and they battle well enough to do it.
Attic, top of the box. She's dangerous. Cuts in. Salee deflects one out, and it does not hit an FIU player. So a goal kick for Restrepo in net. Good defending there for FIU.
You know, this is going to be interesting to see how FIU adjusts with Auburn's press. You know, they want to play out of the back. In the first half, they were playing a little bit more direct coming off these goal kicks. Looks like they're going to have to continue to do that. But still, we see some of the space on the weak side. You know, can they open things up? Can they change the field, switch fields, change channels, just to take advantage of it and create their weak side player some time on the ball?
On the flip side, though, you talk about Auburn's depth and their bench, as Catherine Rapp has it taken away by Colson. Again, I think that's been one of the underrated parts of Auburn's season this year. Obviously, the storyline was their start in non-conference play, and had some good moments in SEC play, but their bench, I think, at times has been as impactful, if not more impactful, than the starting 11 has some games.
They absolutely have. You think some of the goals that Thibodeau scored, Becky Contreras, you know, some players where when they come on, the level doesn't change, and they're able to score in those big moments just to make sure that Auburn continues to lead or get some goals back.
Foot race on, top of the box. Sarul was double teamed by Osborne, and Hayden Colson had to come back to help. But Sarul, with her patient play, she knew she didn't have numbers. She chipped it off the Tiger defenders for a corner opportunity. That's textbook soccer right there.
It absolutely is. And this is great mentality from FIU coming into the second half of being as aggressive as they are, counter-pressing and then going straight back to goal.
High ball from Paquin, punched out by Maddie Prohaska. Chipped on low. I think that was the enemy.
Yeah, now they've got to make sure they keep it. Unfortunately, they turn it over here, but regain possession. You know, like we talked in the first half, both teams want to counter press, and if they're doing it well enough, it's going to continue to put pressure on the other team. FIU doing a little bit better right now, keeping it in their half.
Babel lost it to Haddock. And a whiff for Zora Jackson. gives the Tigers space up the left side. And Olivia Woodson, a double-digit goal scorer, gets to the end line and ran out of real estate, doesn't get the call. You know, Nick, you mentioned the goals of Sydney Thibodeau. I urge fans, I think it was the Southern Miss game, was it, Nick?
Yeah, it was.
I urge fans to go back, go to YouTube or Twitter, wherever it is that you go for your soccer highlights. Find the Auburn Southern Miss soccer highlights, because Sydney Thibodeau bombed one from about 30, 35 yards out.
Yeah, right around there.
That, again, watching it live, I could not believe it found the back of the net. But when talking to the Auburn staff about it, they said, no, that's just who she is. She has that capability, as, again, Olivia Woodson denied in the box.
Yeah, Thibodeau has, when she scores, they're highlight worthy. I think, if I'm right, the SEC voted one of her goals as the goal of the year for the conference against Tennessee. Buried one top corner from the top of the box.
Well, that was a high-stakes game in Knoxville that the Tigers had to go on the road and win. They got the result. Thibodeau, 4 goals on the year, a senior out of Montgomery, Texas. Anna Haddock, again, the program's all-time assist leader. Broke Katie Fryerson's record a week ago. But, Nick, I did not update this stat, but it's close. Auburn, at one time this year, Salih shot on, kick save. Auburn methodical with their attack. Salih found an inch. Salih has netted 5 this year. Transferring in from Xavier. Another chance in. Down is Restrepo. She is slow to get up, communicating with her teammates, needing a breather.
Those situations always put goalkeepers in a really tough, vulnerable position where they're watching one ball from one side and players are able to come from the opposite side and not see where they come from. I didn't quite see how the collision happened.
Coach Garber comes out to take a look along with the trainer, and again, immediately as we saw her down, I saw her, she wasn't moving much. She was communicating with her teammates, and her teammates, I think this is a good sign, didn't seem to be panicked despite the lack of motion by the keeper. Again, she's had some good saves tonight, and a lot of times been at the right place at the right time. Auburn's attack tonight is just been a lot for any goalkeeper to handle. But she has been one of the bright spots of this entire season for FIU, and Coach Garber says this team would not be where they are without her.
She's definitely put the work in and been brave in a lot of situations, coming off her line and dealing with the traffic that she's had to deal with.
Good sign. She is sitting up, and I did ask him, her coming from Columbia about, how the style of play was different in Columbia versus transitioning to the college game here in the United States. And it was such an interesting answer in just learning about the different styles and where these players come from.
Yeah, it's, again, a little more transition here. Columbia is known for, just a little more technical style than
direct style of play, too, right?
But it's turned that way, and that's the unfortunate thing for their country. I think for the national team is to become a little more direct than it has been. But you can tell as a goalkeeper, she's very confident with her feet.
There's another look at it. Ball in from Salih, came up, and I think it was Sammy Brown. Who came in for a collision, and she definitely took the brunt end of that call. And Odeliana Gomez, the starting goalkeeper for the Dominican Republic national team, Delaware transfer, a junior, checks into the game for FIU. All right, calming nerves for a new keeper. Nick, what would your advice be as a coach?
I think you're going to do a great job. Everybody's got you in front of you. They'll take care of your situation. Just make sure she's not on her own.
And that's for any keeper, right? Regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough situation. You're coming in cold, haven't been ready. You don't know that you need to warm up. All of a sudden, you're thrown into it. And that's where you got to rely on everybody else to take care of you. Try to close up any chance the other team has, higher up of the field.
Aaron Houston working 1v1 against Kaio up the side. Anime coming up to put pressure on. Auburn able to shift field right to the left, and that's another part of Auburn's game that's been really good at times this year. Nick is just finding the open space and not forcing it, but a ball forward. In FIU, they've had to play more direct, be a little more aggressive with their attempts. Again, 37 minutes is keeping them from the second round of the NCAA tournament. And right now, that chance there, that pass from the midfield paid off.
It did. They're able to find Paquin, pretty regularly, and she's the one you want on the ball. Yeah. She can not only create for herself, but she can create for others too, and they're able to generate the corner from this.
And FIU, they have had more corners tonight than Auburn. LJ Knox gets ahead on it, deflects to Colson, and clears it away.
Good defensive clearance there.
And Paquin, she's shown a lot of different types of corner kicks tonight for FIU. Gives them a lot of options. And another thing, she's been accurate.
She has. A very technical player. Good with the ball at her feet and good for the service. She's had some assists on corners in the Conference USA tournament. This pressure, though, is good from FIU. They maintain it. They're going to look to press now. They have to. They've got to keep the players forward and try to keep the chance to win the ball in the attacking third. 36
minutes, still ample time. And I want to ask your thoughts on a 2-0 deficit. You mentioned earlier that you said there's a whole stigma saying it's harder to hold a 2-0 lead than a 1-goal lead or a 3-0 lead. But with that, ball halted at midfield, a hard collision as Auburn's Anna Haddock took the brunt end of a collision. I think went head-to-head with an FIU player. Again, it was incidental, both battling for the ball.
The game's been physical. I don't think there was anything malicious, but it has been physical. FIU is not backed down by any means.
Yeah, that was the enemy, and again, a strong player in her own right, physical player and holding midfielder, and she's the type of physical presence you want in the midfield. And unfortunately, and especially in this sport, those plays, they might happen from time to time in a game.
They do, yeah. The headers, when you're looking at the ball and you don't quite see where other people are coming from.
Nice takeaway, Becky Contreras. Took it from Vamel from behind. That ball stays in all the way across midfield and is still in. What a roll.
Gives Auburn a chance just to press their lines a little bit higher.
The Nick back to the point, 35 minutes left, 2-0 lead. And for FIU, you have to have the mentality you can't score 2 off 1 goal, right? So
just chip away.
It's getting the first one and then building that momentum.
Yeah, just chip away. And again, their attitude and mentality has been good to start this game, start the second half, being aggressive. Just now it comes down to take advantage of the chance when they get it. They've been able to generate some corners, but not getting the strong shot on goal yet. They are so good in transition, though, and Auburn has to watch that. When Auburn's possessing, when their shape is big and they're stretched, if they turn it over in the wrong part of the field, FIU is going to be looking for those. And Paquin being up front and as dangerous she is, that's a situation that she could easily get a goal back for FIU.
Well, again, Paquin, she's good with the ball at her feet. Her finishes speak for themselves. 15 goals this year, 13th in the NCAA with 15 goals. But the thing that stands out to me about the Conference USA Player of the Year is her motor. Again, I touched on it in the first half. I mean, when she has that burst of speed right here, she's 1v1 against Mooney, and Mooney takes her off the ball, wants a call from Paquin and doesn't get it. And Coach Garber not happy with that either.
Yeah, the ref has let things go. If they didn't call a foul on the previous situation with Haddock, they're not going to call the foul there. Mooney coming in shoulder to shoulder.
Paquin had a step, and I thought the contact was there first before the ball.
Yeah, playing the ball, shoulder to shoulder, didn't dip it.
Yeah. You can't dwell on it. You have to keep moving, but I think the head coach might have a case.
Yeah, and FIU continues to play hard. They were able to win the ball back, and straight back to the attacking third they go.
Throw in for Sarul, even with the box. FIU's created some chances now. Again, 6 shots, 4 corners tonight. Long throw in. The target is Kaio.
The opportunities are being missed from both teams right now. They are switching the field, changing channels, and you've got Elizabeth Rapp over here, you've got Catherine Rapp over here in the center part of the field, who, if you can find them, they've got the space to get a shot off. There's just so much pressure over on that side of the field where the ball is that it's going to be tough to get a really clean shot off. You've got to find the free players. Get Rapp over here, left back, being as high as she is. Let's get her involved.
And Rapp was heavily involved in the touches in the first half, in the early attacks. I mean, without her, there wouldn't have been many opportunities to build.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have success if they can do it. It's just a matter of they've got to broaden their vision a little bit, see both sides of the field. Because Auburn has done well to shift and close up the gaps in between their back line, but there is space on the weak side.
Olivia Woodson tonight had a good step. She's had some good runs, but also, too, quite a few times off sides tonight. Is any chance just with a little break in play that the Tigers have had, could timing be an issue tonight for Auburn?
Could be. If she increases her double movement, check off the line to start. Just give herself that extra second for the ball to be played, and then you can run in behind or run across the line, and as the ball is played, then you can peel in behind. Just that initial movement has to be a little bit cleaner.
Sammy Brown to Woodson. Woodson drives one, but Bridges is there to block it up. Little hand check foul in front of the Auburn bench. It was Sarul winning the ball, and Auburn got called. I think it was Aaron Houston.
That's a good battle over there with Sarul and Houston. Both physical players, both athletic players, putting each other under pressure. Yeah, this is a little bit better from Auburn, trying just to open up FIU's back line and midfield. Just have to maintain possession a little bit better there.
Could the game have started any better for Auburn in thinking back in the first half with the early goal, and even more so, you get the big insurance goal midway through?
Yeah, just come out and be aggressive. The nerves, you have to say, were a little bit less for Auburn because some of these players have been in the NCAA tournament before, whereas FIU, this is the first time for these players, and so that confidence and experience helped Auburn. The nerves are going to be there for both teams, but they took advantage of just getting after it and setting the tone early. Even before the goal, they were sort of knocking on the door, counter-pressing well, winning the ball back, keep it in their attacking half, and getting a couple of shots off.
Well, and for Auburn, Coach Karen Hoppe told us this week, as Paquin, actually FIU building big. The enemy has a ball denied. Babel from distance goes wide. Not a bad attack, but maybe a little impatient there on the attempt. Very little building after the ball was placed.
Impatience, a very good description of what's going on. I think just a couple extra passes are going to be able to generate a better opportunity. And they're just passing it up right now. They want to be urgent, but under control, and I think they can get a little bit better look if they're just able to find that free player.
Coach Hoppe mentioned this week about this senior class. They were on the team when Auburn was last in the NCAA tournament a few years ago, and it was not good memories for the Tigers. Auburn was upset on this field at home by their in-state rival Samford, who took a tough one tonight to the defending national champs Florida State. And they're in a rebuilding year this year, but Samford typically a very good team out of Birmingham. That's always a competitive match, and anytime, Nick, you play a team twice, it's tough. And Auburn could be in that predicament next weekend against Ohio State.
It is. You see the same team twice. The team that lost the first game sometimes has the advantage going into the second game, just having that mental, back against the wall. We'll show you the next time we play you type mentality. So with Ohio State coming to Auburn during the course of the non-conference season and leaving unhappy, they're going to remember that going into the tournament next weekend.
Well, and the senior class, again, coming back to finish what they started. Does it help to have a little motivation and a bad taste from a few years ago?
If you use it the right way, it can be great. They don't want to experience that again. And knowing it's your last go-around, you want to go as far as possible and have happy memories when you look back on your career, years from now.
Well, again, and I don't think if Coach Garber keeps building what he's built, and there's no reason to believe otherwise that he won't at FIU, this senior class at FIU, regardless of result tonight, great comeback or if they fall short, this senior class laid the foundation for the program at FIU because they were his first recruiting class, and look where they are now. Back in the NCAA tournament for the first time, I believe since 2011, only the third trip ever to the NCAA tournament.
We talked about they took a chance too. When they committed to this program, the program was nowhere close to what they are now. And they trusted the vision of Coach Garber and believed in what he was preaching and worked hard, came together as a team, from individual players from all over the world, and now are, seeing the rewards from that, winning the conference tournament, winning the regular season, making the NCAA tournament for the first time in over a decade.
Well, and what the Power Fours forget is you can have the Cinderella season, right? And then you get to the conference tournament. Nick, all it takes is one bad game or one bounce of the ball being the difference, regardless of your regular season, getting into the NCAA tournament or not, because you have to win your conference tournament for the automatic bid. And so there's some added pressure for the mid-major teams that the Power Four just don't face.
Absolutely. It's seen from a couple conferences I could think of this season where the regular season winner, went in undefeated, and they're still, and yet they're watching the games from home right now because they got to maybe the championship and lost 1-0 or 2-1.
Well, and you can argue both sides of it, right? I mean, if you're on the losing side, it's brutal, and then there are a lot of teams that have been there. But on the flip side, there's that Cinderella side. That's what we love in American sports, is the Cinderella team getting hot at the right time. And there's ample stories of it in multiple sports, but that's what makes this time of year so fun.
Yeah, if you look at the season, you can almost look at it in 4 blocks. You got preseason, then non-conference season, and then regular season. If you can make that 4th season be in the NCAA tournament, you've peaked at the right time, and it's a reward for all the work you've done in those previous 3 segments. And just getting here is incredible, let alone going deep. But soccer can be a cruel game, as we say many times.
Well, speaking of cruel, the 4th minute, an own goal. Ball into the mixer, deflected on by FIU, unable to keep it out as Elizabeth Rapp got there just a tick too late. But then in the 24th minute, Auburn earned this one. Anna Haddock to Jess Osborne, teaming up on the header off the corner. Tigers with some big insurance. It's 2-0 Tigers.
You could see that corner kick, there was some design to that, whereas it allowed Osborne to have some isolation. The runners delayed their runs just a little bit just to give her the chance, and it comes down to whether the service is good enough, and obviously it was there from Haddock. But it gave Osborne the chance just to use her height, jump, and get on the end of a very good service and put it on frame and, get that second goal.
Haddock, they're a little late. And Zora Jackson, good speed, good read. The outside back did her job. But Haddock shaken up a bit on the collision. Another look at it is, again, that ball was fired up the left sideline. And, yeah, you can see Jackson got her foot in there in time.
Yeah, got the ball. Maybe the trailing foot was able to, that's what clipped Haddock. Definitely got the ball first. Just comes in hard. Both teams, it's a college soccer. It's NCAA tournament time. When you tackle, you're going to tackle hard. Just the trailing foot was able to catch Haddock. And unfortunately, I don't know how she tweaked it, but.
When I had the privilege of speaking to a college class earlier this week about broadcasting, and again, I'm just as shocked as you are, Nick, that I got asked to do it. But one of the things that I told them, because obviously one of the common questions you get is, like, what's your favorite sport and what's coming up? And one of the things I was talking about, obviously, is the match tonight. And I told the students that, listen, if you're a fan of athletics, I said, watch women's college soccer, because those athletes not only are fit, but they are some of the toughest athletes in all of NCAA athletics. Again, these players are tough. They play as physical as any sport out there. And again, the average person doesn't think it when you think soccer, but watch them play, it'll change your opinion quickly.
Yeah, and this season is so demanding. I think I would put it up as the most demanding physically based on the number of games that these players play in such a short time. NCAA, if you're listening, expand the season a little bit, give them a couple extra weeks. Side note. But the physical fitness level that they have to play at, you have to have speed, you got to have endurance, and now they're playing 20-plus games. To be able to keep running at this level is very, very impressive for them as athletes.
Well, the schedule was shifted a bit this year too, right, Nick, where teams were able to play a few more one-game weekends versus having to play 2-game weekends, because you've stacked so many double-game weekends back to back to back. That takes a toll.
It does, and anything helps right now based on just recovery for these players. So having an extra weekend where you only have to play one game as opposed to two just helps the health and well-being of the student athletes.
Sydney Thibodeau getting in there a bit to win a ball for Auburn. But again, with FIU tonight, and a couple bounces haven't gone their way. I almost think this team has not backed down in any regard. Primarily on the defensive end, they just about answered most of the challenges thrown their way. Starting keeper out, Gomez, the backup keeper, comes in and makes a sliding save. And since Restrepo has left the game, the back line has done a good job of protecting Gomez in front.
Absolutely, and they continue to get chances. Auburn still has to make sure that they're not giving up FIU a chance to counter on them, because they are so dangerous. Paquin has the freedom sort of to move where she wants, so she's dropping into midfield a little bit right now, just trying to find a better chance to get on the ball.
Save for Prohaska, taking command in the box. And here's a look at Restrepo and she got a big hit from Sammy Brown. Again, it was not intentional, but both going for a ball in the 6-yard box, or maybe just outside the 6, and she laid quietly for more than a few seconds, Nick, just to catch her breath. Again, she was speaking to her teammates. No one was panicked, but she had to leave for Gomez to check in, and again, just wish the starting keeper all the best, because again, we saw some good highlights from her tonight and answered the challenge tonight for FIU and giving her team a chance.
Yeah, there was some space there for Auburn to take advantage of. It's one thing as the game goes on, you know, FIU is going to have to continue to commit more and more players going forward, and it's going to create more and more space behind them for Auburn to take advantage of. But it's just the risk they're going to have to take to try to get back at least one goal and then worry about the second one then.
Maddie Prohaska comes up out of midfield. And able to save it. How about that? Jordan Crosby saved it, but was the last touch as FIU was able to deflect it off of her. I didn't think Crosby was going to have the range to get to it, and she did.
Yeah.
Haley Duca subbing in for Aaron Houston. Duca's, again, another sub piece that can give you 15, 20 minutes a game, Nick, in these sub moments, second half, that are valuable minutes. A senior out of Chelsea, Alabama, the only Alabama native on the Auburn roster. She was the Gatorade Player of the Year. Driver from distance, sails it.
You know, we talk about players that have converted into new positions in college. You know, Duca was a center mid in high school. I think, if I remember right, Alabama Player of the Year. So has some familiarity and some experience at different parts of the field, but that vision helps her as an outside back, because she's able to break pressure a little bit easier than players that aren't used to dealing with defenders all over the place. So, you know, coming from behind.
Patience from Thibodeau as Bieneme just lost her balance.
Yeah, Bakeen staying up front early in the game. You know, is floating a little bit more, coming into midfield a little bit more, just trying to get her foot on the ball.
That's the thing. She's got the speed. If she can find a lane in midfield, I mean, she can dribble a ways with her speed.
She can.
But the one thing that might be different tonight that maybe she hasn't seen quite as much, I think Auburn's got a few kids in the midfield and on the back, especially now with fresh legs in the likes of Duca. Got a couple kids who might can stay with her step for step.
Yeah, and I think that's where she needs.
Here's Driver, 1v1, kick save, a big one from Gomez.
Big for Bakeen, dealing with the speed that Auburn has in the back line. She needs extra help. You know, she needs that second or third player to go with her. Whereas maybe some of the games that she's played so far this season, she's been able to do things by herself. You know, she needs the likes of Sarul and Emil to make sure they're within visible range of her so that she can dish off. If she's drawing the attention of the back line, she finds that free player in transition.
Bieneme shaken up after being taken down by Thibodeau on a foul. And Bieneme, she's been a good presence on the field for FIU. Ball at her feet now. Wanting getting the ball forward. Here's Paquin. And the Tigers able to steal it from behind. But Bieneme, she's that type of, she brings that physicality that you need, especially teams like Auburn. Tigers working out wide for Becky Contreras. Contreras, another dangerous player for the Tigers.
You know, this is where Auburn just has to show a little more patience.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the lead. Don't have to force anything. If they don't like it, if the numbers aren't right, you know, there's free space somewhere else on the field. They just got to find that free player.
Cayo enters for Solis. Sammy Brown enters for Becky Contreras. And Sammy Brown, I can't talk about Sammy without thinking about the 2 matchups she had against her mom in West Virginia. Her mom is the head coach of West Virginia women's soccer. Auburn played West Virginia the last 2 seasons in a home-and-home. The one 2 years ago, Sammy nearly netted the game winner. And we asked Mom about it this year. We had Coach Brown on one of the broadcasts for senior weekend, and she said that game, Crosby with a beautiful cut in. Thibodeau with space, dribbling, fires, wide shot. Thibodeau, you don't want to give her that angle, and that's what Gomez is telling her team. But Sammy Brown and her mom said she nearly went into mom mode, forgot she was a coach for a hot second. Here's another look at Tibbs.
Yeah, Tibbs is a player good with both feet, can strike well, is able just to find that space that she needs to get the ball off her foot. And, Gomez comes up with a really good save to make sure it doesn't go bottom corner. You can see the setup for the corner kick again, where Osborne's isolated.
Tigers' second corner, punched by Gomez, right side of the box. Cando with a nice takeaway from behind.
Yeah, good defensive transition from Cando there, from Candolino.
But much like the likes of Mal Mooney, started her career up top and has filled some voids left at the outside back position coming off the bench.
For these fifth-year players, the players who were given an extra year for COVID, they came back for a reason to win. They weren't happy with how the past couple of years have gone, and were willing to commit to whatever they needed to do for the team. Candolino is another player who has played in different positions this year because the team needed her to, and hasn't thought twice about it.
Wow. Brown with a big win. A driver up top to Crosby at the corner. Cutting in, left foot, curls it in and scores! Jordan Crosby puts the Tigers up 3 with her 4th goal of the year.
It's a great play from Auburn just in that transition moment with FIU starting to commit players going forward and open up some space, but able to work the ball going, between a couple people. I believe this is now under review for maybe potentially an offside.
What'd you think live, Nick, watching?
It looked good for me.
Yeah.
I thought she ran the line well.
And Brown to driver.
Yeah, to me, she looks onside.
Previous play stands. Goal for Auburn.
We talked earlier when Dylan Driver come on the field. Good cut from Crosby going back to her left foot and hits it low left post or low far post, just out of the keeper's reach. But that build-up starts from playing Driver, who very good creating for others. You play into her feet, she's able to find runners that are moving off of her, plays a good pass in behind the back line for Crosby to run onto, and Crosby does the rest with the little cut back to her left foot. It's a great thing about this sport. Like, everybody brings in their own strengths, and for coaches, it's a sort of a chess game of how can you put them together in the right way to make it work best. When you've got a lot of depth, you've got a coaching staff that should be very happy because they've got a lot of options. Yeah. And with the forward partnerships that Auburn can bring, Dylan does, Driver does one thing, Crosby does another, Salih does something else, Woodson, those four, you can mix and match based on what you think is going to work best against the opponent. And then even when you sub, you're still bringing in very good players.
Well, Nick, you touched on it a few moments ago about the fifth years in college soccer, and it's across college athletics. You look at some of the most successful teams, they are senior heavy across the board. The fifth year is about to start phasing out, and in another year or so, how do you think things will shift back to roster management and how teams are able to build and build championship teams? Because, again, in a lot of sports, it's been the COVID seniors, the fifth years, senior-heavy teams that have found a lot of success.
It has, and you're going to look at roster sizes being a little bit smaller with the potential or determined cap that's going to be on teams. Transfers are always in a mix, but you potentially going to see younger players play a little bit more. You've got to build and create a little more balance in between the classes so that you don't drop once a class that is, or a team that's senior heavy graduates. If you can build the youth.
Chance on goal, top right corner. Catherine Rapp finished with Kyle started, and FIU's on the board. Rapp with her fourth for the second team all-conference selection.
Great here from FIU. Even though it was 3-0 at the point, they're still not backing down.
And we're going to another review. Well, and goal stands or not, FIU's had chances all night, and to me, they're not surprising at all that they got one with 10 minutes to go because, again, possession's been controlled by Auburn. FIU still got 9 shots off. They have 4 corners. Auburn has 2.
They've been dangerous throughout the game.
Is the player on the left, I think that's Sparrow. Is she offsides, or maybe even the player up top? And the player up top is Catherine Rapp.
Yeah, Catherine Rapp there, starting offside here.
Yeah.
Came involved from an offside position.
Good video review. Something new to the game this year. Nick, I think all in all, it's had a good impact. What do you think?
I agree. I think the college game is catching up with the rest of the world. It's needed. You want to get things right. If you're unsure of something from a referee standpoint, you want to have a resource that's going to allow you to make sure you make the right decision.
Have you talked to any referees about it this year?
I've not, no. But in years past, they have requested. Sure. I think, again, these guys and girls, the referees are all, they want to do the right thing.
Sure.
But it's a very tough game to referee, and there's a lot that goes on. So if they have that resource that's going to allow them to make sure they make the right decision, they want that.
And reviewing if Rapp and or Sparrow were offsides, here's the call.
Yeah, I was wondering. It does come off of Osborne, even though Rapp is offside.
Goal stands. Big finish. Upper 90, right side, beating the veteran keeper, Maddie Prohaska.
Yeah, great finish. Puts her foot around it, puts a little bend on it to the right corner, out of the reach of Prohaska. Took full advantage of the chance when it came.
FIU on the board. They answer a late goal from Auburn moments ago.
Now it comes down to how both teams respond. If FIU is able to continue to be aggressive and put pressure on Auburn, force another mistake, take advantage of it, could be a really entertaining end to this game.
Yeah, again, you get one. Who knows what could happen? Only needed one more. Ball in. And a headed opportunity. That'll go wide for Sarul. And again, FIU, they're not going to go down quietly. They're going to play to the final second and expect nothing less watching this team and knowing what their culture is and how prideful they are in their style of soccer, what they built at FIU. And again, expect this team, well, they have a lot of seniors. It may be next year, it may not be, but expect this team back in the near future.
Yeah, you have to applaud their mentality. You know, they've not backed down at all, and they're going to continue to keep coming after Auburn. You know, it was something Coach Garber had mentioned in his call about just how they want to approach games. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be confident. They're going to continue to attack, and the team has stayed true to that. You know, regardless of how this game ends, they've traded the chances. It's just they've been unfortunate a couple times, but they're going to continue to knock on the door as much as they can to get the second and third one.
Quick restart again. Under 10 to play. Altsarul could have taken one from distance. Chose to pass it on to Kaio, and Auburn gets a turnover.
You know, now for Auburn, it's a matter of how they manage this last, almost 9 minutes. You know, are they going to dribble the corner now, or are they going to just, hey, keep possession?
Sure.
You know, just find free players, make FIU chase.
And when Auburn plays side to side, and what I mean by that, just finding the wide space, left to right or right to left, and slowly work up the field, that's when Auburn, not just tonight, but has been at their best all season. They're very good at finding space, as Tuca's doing right now. Help from behind.
FIU, they're going to be stretched because they have to commit players going forward. So there's going to be space for Auburn if they just keep moving the ball, stay composed, move slightly left to right, change their angle. You know, but it comes down to the composure to be able to do that too, and not get wrapped up in sort of the intensity that FIU's needing to bring towards the end of this game. Just don't go it alone. You know, to manage these kind of situations, you got to make sure you take advantage of your help.
All to midfield. Duca again going to the sideline. Just playing keep away at this point.
It's like even there, just swinging along the back line. You know, get it over to the left side. It's going to pull FIU further away from goal. It's going to open up some more space.
Good ball win from Crosby. Keeps it alive. Auburn was down 2 or 3 players there when numbers and still won the ball. Thibodeau splits 2, drives one for a corner. Wow.
Crafty little dribble there.
El Tayar got in front of it.
Corner kick for Auburn to be taken by number 15.
Well, the thing about a corner too, what does it do? It not only sets up a scoring opportunity, but even more importantly, it eats clock. South of 7 minutes to play.
Yeah, and now you're in a situation you don't have to send everybody forward. You got Knox and Osborne that are hanging out towards midfield.
High back post. Contreras on the end. Colson keeps it in. Right foot off the post, and it goes! Hayden Colson, first goal of the season, comes in the NCAA tournament. Her second career goal, and the Tigers ice it with a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, and this is a goal just being gritty and finding a way to get something on frame. Falling down at the time, just getting her foot behind the ball to put it on goal, and was able to get it. Good service from Thibodeau, puts pressure. You know, you're getting these second, third chances as she's falling down, getting it to that far post.
Again, Auburn, much like FIU, playing all the way through to the 90th minute. It's, we talked about the mentality in the open. You can't take minutes off in these tournaments. That's the difference in winning or going home. Driver, diving save for Gomez, stops it. Second effort stops the Auburn threat. And Gomez, she's been under pressure just like Restrepo has at times throughout. But, man, the keeper, Nick, she's come on and kept them in it. Despite the score, has made some big saves.
She's been impressive. In such a hard situation for her to come into, not knowing that you're going to be stepping on the field, coming in cold, dealing with an injury to the starting goalkeeper. She's come up with some really big saves.
All right, now Auburn back with their second 3-goal lead of the night. 5 minutes to play, Nick. For Auburn, can you relax a little? Can you breathe a little now with five to go?
No, Coach Hoppa.
She'll say no, but
she's gonna say no.
She's gonna say no, but
yeah, she's gonna say no.
Your strategy, you have more to work with in your strategy now with that goal.
It comes down to management. Comes down to taking advantage of ticking off time as much as you can, being smart, being safe. They don't want to give up another goal. The mentality of keeping it 4-1 is going to be important for confidence going into the next game. So can possession come into play just to help take advantage of making FIU chase? They're not going to want to get stretched because FIU is dangerous on the counter. So, but being smart, health comes into play. You want to make sure that everybody's is in good shape to be able to play next weekend as well.
Up forward, 1 goal tonight. Catherine Rapp sends it in. Osborne deflects, diving save. Maddie Prohaska to deny FIU a corner with under 4 to play.
That's great from FIU, from Auburn. That gap that opened, probably, they want to clean that up.
Yeah.
Creating that space in between the outside back and center back is just a little bit too big. So this is that point where mentally, still leadership of the back line and goalkeeper, making sure everyone's organized and shifting together so you don't give up, chances that are unnecessary. You can already see, though, that the back line is staying intact. Contreras is staying back a little bit. Colson's staying back a little bit.
Number 17, Maddie Bondon, enters for number 16, Dylan Driver.
Maddie Bondon enters for Dylan Driver. And what a moment. Bondon, a team captain. Has been a team player from the get-go for Auburn. Stepped up, had a big impact last year for the Tigers. More depth was added this year. The opportunity on the pitch hasn't quite been there as much, but that has not changed the impact she's had on this team at practice, in the locker room, and she gets her moment in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, ultimate team player in Bondon, and putting the team first, being a captain, understanding that her role on the field may not have been, what she was hoping for, but she can still affect the team in a positive way, help make sure that everyone keeps the goal in mind and understands that everybody has their part.
Well, again, a captain 2 years in a row. This group of captains for Auburn, Haddock, Prohaska, Moore, and Bondon. It's the first time in Coach Hoppa's tenure that she's had the same group of captains back-to-back seasons. With the success that Auburn's had in her 26 years, that's saying something.
It is, and they've committed to what they need to do as a team and their leadership, and they've put in work with some outside consultants and, committed to making sure that they understand that how to stay on the same page, what they need to do to deal with adversity, and also deal with success. They're going to get to play another weekend in the NCAA tournament.
Kayo checking out. That will be a much-anticipated matchup next weekend in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Auburn gets a rematch with Ohio State. Tigers and the Buckeyes met earlier this season. Auburn won a fantastic game, 1-0 against number 17 Ohio State. And, both of those teams, they're familiar with each other. Maddie Prohaska of Auburn, and one of her best friends plays on that team, Nick, at Ohio State. And they played each other last year in a home-and-home. Again, not a lot of secrets between those two. And, again, I think out of all the matchups in the second round, that will be one of the marquee matchups next weekend between the Tigers and the Buckeyes.
It will, and it's a tough draw for both of them. This is a really difficult side of the bracket, having to play, get faced up with each other. Obviously, Georgia and Wake Forest being in that, and obviously Colorado being able to get past Georgia. Really difficult grouping. Ohio State was going to be a strong team. They ended up the season very well and had a good run this first game so far against JMU. Credit to FIU, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their season's going to come to an end, but they've got a phenomenal program and a lot of positives and reasons to be excited for the future.
Hats off to Coach Garber. Hats off to Noemi Pocken and Bridges and company and all the leaders of that team. But credit to where credit's due, and that's to the Auburn Tigers tonight, protecting home field. Up 4-1 over FIU. It's been a team effort tonight for Auburn.
10.
As the seconds tick down,
7,
the Auburn Tigers will celebrate. Auburn survives, and they advance to the second round of the NCAA tournament. They defeat FIU